Everyone, and welcome back to the Book of Brianna, a podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Brianna Whiteside, and I am here with a special guest. You all have seen her before. You know who she is. Nikki, welcome back to the podcast, girl.
Thank you, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, because I couldn't think of anybody else that I would like to have a conversation with, especially in the month of May when we're talking about women, we're talking about womanhood, and we're just really trying to encourage and uplift women. I know that, sometimes we feel like all hope is lost, and sometimes we feel like the overlooked group of people, all of the things. And so I thought it was so important for us to have a discussion as women in the kingdom and women doing, similar things, but still different, but also to encourage women at different walks of their life. So thanks for joining.
Mhm. Thank you. Happy to be here. I'm excited.
Before we get started, y'all, I want to encourage you to like the video, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already, and we want to keep you in the know. We want to keep you here, present, tapped in, linked in, all of the things. And so please subscribe to the channel and like the video before we get started. So Nikki, today I want to talk about why God trusts women. More specifically, I want us to kind of think through why he not only just trusts us as women, single women in singular, but why he also trusts us with certain things to do in the earth, right? I know sometimes it's easy to compare ourselves with men.
Mhm.
Anything you can do, I can do better. We want
Mhm.
equality, all of these things, but sometimes some stuff I ain't trying to do.
100%.
And
And
I
some
think,
stuff you shouldn't have to do.
period. Okay.
Mhm.
Some stuff I'm not trying to do. And I think that it's so important for us to talk to women as women because God trusts women. One thing that we learn in the Bible is that the kingdom was primarily funded by women. And we can attribute that to the times and the seasons of the text, right? Women didn't have a lot of rights and all of the things that, they were treated as second class citizens in this, patriarchal and hierarchical society. But I think that some of the tenets still reign true, especially as it relates to our faith walk. I
Mhm.
think that the faith is more, it's kind of, I don't want to say marketed to women more, but women are more open to the faith
Mhm.
in a lot of ways than I found men
Mhm.
are. And this is from me
Mhm.
having discussions with men. Like we are the receptors in this earth. Right. And so, I want to kind of talk about why God trusts women with certain things. And, maybe you can share what God has trusted you with that maybe you didn't feel comfortable or qualified to do.
Well, I never feel comfortable or qualified to do half the things that God trusts me with. And I think what we kind of do in the faith as a disservice is not share. It's scary when God trusts you and when you know He trusts you with something, whether it be information, whether it be an assignment, whether it be calling or whatever, or with someone, right? Um, it's scary. And so one of my recent seasons of God trusting me was with my story with my husband. And, I've shared on your platform, we've shared publicly a lot of times, but we knew that when we got back together that this was not necessarily for us and that we would have to share our story and do some work together as a married couple with other married couples or potential or people that wanted to be married, et cetera. And so the whole time I was very much so like, oh, that's fine, I could totally do that, this would be great, this would be perfect. And last year, 2023, around the end of last year, God was saying, it's time. Like, you guys have been married for 7, almost 8 years. It's time. It's time to share your story. It's time to get out there. And I was like, okay, I could do this. And then I think you had said a couple of weeks ago, like, it's that, like, when you get out there and you have this sense of like when you have these negative thoughts already going or these questions that are already coming up and that the enemy comes in and he like starts feeding into that. It was one of those moments. So I'm like, oh, okay, I could do this. And then all of a sudden it was like, but can you? Are you gonna you out here gonna look you gonna be out here looking stupid? Or what's gonna happen? And what if? And all of these things just kept popping up. And it took me on a downward spiral where I'm like, God, like, I don't think I want this. Like, I didn't know it was going to come with all of this. I thought we just didn't get out here, share our story, and just call it a day. But he was like really giving us step by step, like, this is what you're going to do. This is the YouTube channel. This is the business. This is that. And it was a lot. And so, long story short, it just ended up taking me on a downward spiral. And I remember calling you, being like, I can't do this. I can't do this. And you had to like talk me off the ledge. Like, this is not that. This time is different. This
Yeah.
time is not that. And like, I just remember like rehearsing that. Okay, this is not this. This is not that. And then just coming to the conclusion of being grateful. Like, God didn't have to trust me, He didn't have to choose me. And clearly, there's something that He saw in me and saw in my husband to lead us down this path. And I think that, like I said, we kind of do ourselves a disservice when we try to pretend like we're not scared. I know God has not given us the spirit of fear, but like, let's be for real. Like, be for
It's still there.
real. It's still there. And you shaking in your boots. Like, it is a real thing. But to know that He trusts you, he thinks highly of you enough to trust you with the assignment or whatever it is a sometimes can be a fearful thing, because you don't want to mess it up and you don't want to be out here looking stupid or saying the wrong thing or leading people astray, because you have to answer to that. And yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, and you said something like, basically, it's a privilege that you have this opportunity, and
Mhm,
sometimes we see it as this burden, and it is
mhm,
burdensome, right? You are
mhm,
going to carry the brunt of it, but ultimately, it is an opportunity and it is a privilege that God
mhm,
has given you this opportunity that He may not have given someone else, or giving you the opportunity that is maybe in the vein of what someone else may be doing, but it's still personal to you.
mhm, mhm,
And so when I think about myself in real time, this kingdom message,
mhm, mhm.
baby, I'm just going to say it is the scariest thing I've ever done. And I've done some scary stuff. I didn't jumped out of a plane before,
You
right?
have. I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I went, what is it called? Skydiving.
Skydiving. Mhm.
Jumped out of a plane. I was scared my wig was going to come off.
Not that you went skydiving with the wig
With a wig?
on.
Why did I go
Man.
skydiving with a wig on?
Oh
I
my
mean, that
gosh.
wig was going, could you imagine if you're driving on the interstate and a wig?
What possessed you to wear a wig going?
Girl,
And you knew you were going skydiving.
I was in California. So it was with one of my friends at the time, and she wanted to go skydiving for her birthday. But, I was already going to be wearing a wig because we were going out for dinner that night. And so I'm like, we're not going to have a lot of time. There was a short window between the skydiving and the night festivities. Child. So I thought also I was going to have a helmet on.
They didn't give you a helmet?
No, you don't jump with a helmet. You literally just jump with whatever's on your head. You have the harness, you have, the things, and the person strapped to your back, but there is no helmet. I thought I was going to have a helmet on. So I'm like, I'm going to be straight. Baby, I walk in there like, what a helmet. They like, a helmet. So I'm like, oh my God. So I had like this little fashionable scarf on my head. And I was like, Lord, please don't let this, don't let this wig fly off my head, because I'm going to be so shamed. And it's so funny because when we're jumping out, I immediately like do this because you're going down, right? And so I'm like this, trying to hold it. And I'm like, Lord, please don't let it do with my hair. But this kingdom message is the most challenging
Mhm,
thing that God has trusted me with.
mhm,
And you
mhm,
said, you don't want to lead people astray. And that is true. That is a very real
mhm,
consideration and concern that I have regarding the kingdom message, because it is not the message of the church. It is the message of something that's much larger than the church. And, when I'm thinking like kingdom, I automatically think Miles Monroe.
mhm,
And I'm like, great teacher, but, he passed years ago. And I'm like, there should have been someone else that picked up this message. And it's so intimidating to me that it's like, why are you trusting me with it?
mhm,
You know what I mean? Because it can be
mhm,
controversial in some ways.
mhm.
I don't want to be trying to be controversial. And I'm like, Lord, you can trust somebody else who has more skin in the game, who is more known, all of these things. This is me in comparison.
Mhm, mhm.
Why would you trust me, a woman? who's been in her career rubbing her feet together, fine, being an academic. Like, why would you get me out of my career and give me this message of the kingdom? It's intimidating. And of course, I mean, it could be because I'm flexible. It could be because I am actually a scholar. And so I'm, you do have to seek it, but it doesn't make the severity of what I'm doing any less.
Right, right.
And so I'm just kind of like, I mean, yes, it's a privilege, sure, but it's also a hard thing.
100%.
And sometimes God, and a lot of times I don't think we realize that God really do trust women with hard things, like motherhood,
Being a
like
wife.
wife,
Yes, yes.
wife, 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 and like so. So
Mhm.
let me ask you this then: you've been married for how many years?
This time around, we've been married for 8. Well, we'll be married 8. No, it's been 8. Yeah, 8. We
Eight.
just turned 8 on the 6th of May.
Okay, so 8 years married from the position of a wife. How is that? Like how is that a heavy thing?
um, it's a heavy thing because I think when the church does us a disservice. And this might be a little controversial, but the church is very much so adamant about no sex before marriage. Keep yourself holy and keep yourself pure and do all of these things. But nobody's really in the church talking about, okay, but now I'm married. Now what? Nobody's sharing
Yeah,
anything
yeah, yeah.
about what to do now.
Okay. So
How
it's
do I
generally
be a
journey
wife?
to the altar.
Yes,
Okay.
right. But they're not preparing women to be wives or preparing men to be husbands. We're preparing you to get to the relationship, to the engagement, and to the altar. Nobody's talking about the what happens now. And it was a lot of moments where we were like, okay, but now what? How do I love you the way that you desire to be loved, not the way that I think you should be loved?
Yeah.
How do I communicate with you? Because number one, I've been doing life for X amount of years by myself where I didn't need to check in with another person to do what I wanted to do.
Mhm.
And now I have to be considerate. Now I have to be compassionate. Now I have to understand that it's not just me doing life, but I'm doing life with another person.
Mhm.
And now we have become one. So now we have to make decisions together. It's not, oh, I want to eat chicken for dinner, so I'm going to go make chicken, but my husband is allergic to chicken. He's not, but you know what I'm saying? Like you have to learn how to do these things and have to communicate. And that's a process. That's a journey
Mhm.
that if you're not prepared for, you could easily, because of our selfish nature, be like, oh, I don't really want to do this.
Mhm.
I'm gonna check out.
Yeah.
Divorce is easy. It's the
Yeah.
staying that's the work,
Yeah. And
you
it's so
know?
funny because on the flip side, I'm seeing the conversations and the culture like, why is it beneficial for men to get married? Like they can do all of these things by themselves. They don't basically need women. Only thing they need women for is like this small list of things. Like it's this very, very distasteful conversation.
It's
That's what
very inaccurate too.
yeah. But I also think it's from the position of being hurt, right? You build up
100%.
these monuments
Mhm.
in your mind based on your own hurt. And you kind of you struggle to get out of those mindsets because you have been socialized and more people are feeding it. And I think that we need each other, period.
Mhm. Mhm.
On just a basic human level, men and women need each other,
Mhm.
and God saw fit that we need each other. And I think even, the Bible does not go into a lot of details about the importance of marriage, the importance of men and women together, but God will reveal to you why you need this person.
Mhm. Mhm.
And when I think about why God trusts women with hard things, I have to think about singleness. Ugh!
Mhm.
Singleness for the people who want to be married is a hard thing.
Baby. Yes. I was once a single woman. Yes. Whew.
Oh my God.
Especially when you're trying to do it the right way and live for God. It's hard. It's even harder when you're trying to do it the right way.
You know what? Yes. Because I I'm trying to think about if I want to tell these stories online or not. But I'll say this. When in dating and, engaging with men and, conversing, it's so funny. Because if we meet, we're good. Like before you know what I do, before you see my Instagram or something like that, we're good. They like me, I like them, basic human, but on a basic human level. Child, they ask for the Instagram. I'm like, oh no.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no. Oh no. Because I already know that based on how I capture moments on my Instagram and what I put out, you're going to draw a certain perception of me,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so generally, and this goes into you saying God trusting people to do it right. Women are largely the gatekeepers to a lot of things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
A lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of give away the power. Y'all know what I'm saying? In hopes of getting something in return. But the power that God gives us is very specific. It's very specific, and we sway a lot of things in the world, right? So, they'll be like, well, Brie, I mean, I think you're great. I think you're dope. I support what you're doing, but I just don't think I'm the person.
Right. I can't do that. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm like, God, like, what's up? Like, I'm trying to do this the right way. I'm trying to walk upright. I'm trying to do all these things, but like, what's up? And I think it's so easy for people to be like, well, they just wasn't for you and, blah, blah, blah. But at this big age, I got
that part.
You know what?
That part. Or it's the other way around. It's the ones that are doing it, but there is no attraction there. There needs to be some level of attraction, like something. Can we vibe on some type of level?
Wait. Are you say it again?
It's the ones where the men are actually on the right track.
Oh, and
they are trying to do the right thing, as we say, but there is no attraction there.
I remember I was having a conversation with a lady at lunch, and she showed me a specific person, and she's like, girl, he's smart, he loves the Lord, da 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 da. And she had a lot of like caveats before she showed me the photo.
Prefacing.
She was prefacing, not even a caveat. She was doing a lot of prefacing. And I was like, if you got to do all this prefacing,
he ain't
not gonna like this package. And she was holding that phone tight to her chest. And I was like, let me see the picture. And she's like, well, let me see the picture. And I looked at the picture and I was like,
right.
I think at this big age, it would be disingenuous of me to try to just get married for marriage sake. Right. I think
out of desperation.
I ain't gonna say who said that, but yes, I can't see myself doing it if I've waited this long just to have that. And I think that singleness is a weight for women because the Bible tells us that our desires will be for our husbands. That was our punishment in the Garden of Eden. Their punishment was something else. But we feel the impact of singleness, being unwed year after year because that was our punishment. That punishment ain't going nowhere.
Right.
Some people can say, okay, I don't want to be married. Okay, cool. At one point you did, but let's just interrogate that because you may have given up on hope. Right? It's easy not to hope. Hoping is hard. Right? But even outside of the realm of relationships and God trusting you with singleness for a season or whatever the case may be, like your calling, women's callings are so important. Why we were created and what we were created to do is so important. And I think that sometimes we think, oh, if I'm not doing something that's getting a lot of notoriety, then I'm insignificant. And what I am doing is insignificant. I think that's a lie from hell.
100%.
Like someone told me, like, I'm a teacher through and through. Y'all know this. Y'all watch podcast. You watch me teach. I'm a teacher. That is my dominant gift. Other stuff is secondary. But someone's like, it's so, you were definitely a teacher. But also like, she was like, it's so fascinating and refreshing that you're okay with being a teacher because everyone else wants to be a prophet and apostle. And I'm like, my functions speak for themselves, But I also know that the teachers lay the foundation. I can snatch you out of foolishness with a proper teaching and snatch you out of a lot of habits with instruction, not encouragement and inspiration. And so teaching is not sexy. It's hard work. It's thankless labor sometimes, but it is transformative. So when I'm thinking about why God trusts women, I think there's so many women in the Bible that God trusted, right? We think about Abigail. Had she not been there to talk David down, he would have tore everything up.
You're right.
He would have set it off up in there. Who else we got in the Bible? Mary, the mother of Jesus.
Right. And wasn't it, you were talking about how women largely financed the kingdom, wasn't it Priscilla? Priscilla and her husband were the ones that financed, was it Paul's journey? Lord help me. It was somebody's journey in the Bible. I think it's out of Acts, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
But Priscilla did a lot of financing of
the gospel
stuff. Yes, for sure. And so I think, for me, I think there is this, with you were saying, like this ideology that we have kind of adopted, that women are insignificant, we don't matter as much, or we don't mean as much, is false. Number one, it is this old question that we always ask: why me? Like, why would God choose me for this? Or why did God choose me for this? I remember when I first stepped into entrepreneurship, and I was talking it over to one of my mentors, and I was like, I feel this, but I don't know why. Like, why would God choose me for this? Like, I don't have any entrepreneurs in my family. Why me? And her question back so fast was, why not you? You're more than capable. You went to school for business. You have and then she started going down the resume. And I was like, yeah, but
but why?
But why? Right. And she just kept saying, but why not you? And I remember like kind of just dissecting that with God, like, and his question back to me was, why would I not choose you? I've equipped you with everything that you needed. So why would I not trust you with this assignment? And I think we just we have to get out of our own way and out of our own mind, and know that God knows better. And there's a reason why he trusts you to do what he trusts you to do. We may not know why, and we may not understand why we have to do whatever it is he's calling us to do. Like, I'm sure the full revelation of why you had to quit your job has not come to pass, when this is something you've always wanted to do since you were 2.
Hey, I'm still like,
exactly.
What's the reason?
Right. Right. There's a lot of things that we just won't have the answers to. Maybe not in this life, or maybe later on in life, we will get the full transparency, or not transparency, what's the word I'm looking for? The full revelation as to why we had to do what we had to do.
Yeah. One of my favorite, not a favorite, but one of the authors in African American literature, Zora Neale Hurston, she writes in Their Eyes Are Watching God, there are years that question, and then there are years that answer. Right. And so that goes to your point that you're not gonna know. And you're not, and sometimes you gotta go before you know, right?
100%.
Me going before I know where I'm going, why I'm going, who I'm going to. I don't know. I'm just out here.
Wasn't that God's request of Abraham? Leave your mother and father's house
and go to a place I will show you.
Go to that I will tell you.
I leave first though, my boy.
Right. Can you even imagine? Like, you just walking down the road and this guy comes to you and finally tell you? I couldn't even imagine that.
Girl, me, my big age, standing in the middle of walking towards her. I don't know where I'm walking, but we're going.
Right.
But it's I feel like women are, the people who people generally underestimate, but you should never underestimate them. Wars have been fought over women. A lot of things have happened because of women and the power that women actually have. And so when we're thinking about like, why would God trust me? Because you are powerful and you are an underestimated power, and that hell fight women so much. Yes, the enemy fights men, but he also fights women because we're also the gatekeepers to life and destiny. So we are the only ones who can partner with an invisible realm to bring forth another person.
Mm-hmm.
And if
Mm-hmm.
that's not powerful, I don't know what is.
Right.
Right. And God trusts us with so many things, but we are the drama sometimes.
We
We are the drama. I'm serious.
are.
I'm serious. And I think for me, I think the time is out for play.
Mm-hmm.
We're running out of time for a lot
Mm-hmm.
of things. And a lot of things that are happening are some of our faults. Like in the previous podcast, we talked about, you know, when believers, women who are believers don't say certain things, then it makes it seem like we are in agreement
Mm-hmm.
with
Mm-hmm.
what the culture is doing and saying, you know, and I
Mm-hmm.
know some people can say like, oh, we just don't have time for it. We got we got to do kingdom work. That is kingdom work.
Right.
That is a part of evangelism,
Right.
which we all should be doing in some type of way. Right. Speaking of evangelism, I know, you know, because sometimes we don't always think that we are evangelistic, but some of the things that we do are evangelistic, right? And it's easy for women to gather
Mm-hmm.
other women. You know what I'm saying? And so when I think about what I do, and I want to hear your thoughts or your perspective, when I think about what I do on different platforms, is different. Mainly, I'm teaching on YouTube. I'm trying on some clothes or some wigs or something on Instagram, but I see that as a point of evangelism.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why is because it was so important for me in my beginning stages. I didn't want to be like an unfashionable, unkept believer, because that's all I saw at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, I don't want to give this up, God. And he's like, basically, you don't have to give this up. Let's just make it better. Right.
Right. Right.
So what I do is I am, all right, let me try these clothes on, but you're going to hear about Jesus at some point.
Right.
You're going to hear about money at some point. Like you're going
Right.
to hear something that I want you to hear at some point. But the way I cast my net is through fashion
Mm-hmm.
or things that girls
Mm-hmm.
like.
Mm-hmm.
And that is evangelism. And I think that God trusts me with women in evangelism in that way. What about you? How do you see him trusting you?
Tell them what they want, but give them what they need, is essentially, because baby, we've come a long way from floor length blue jean skirts. Okay.
Baby, what? And some of them trying to make a comeback right now.
Baby, no. No. I think evangelism comes in many different forms. And since 2020, I have been saying that the church itself is going to look a lot different. There will be less of the, and I'm trying to be very careful with my words, but there will be less of the inside of the four walls fellowship. And we're going to hear from people on Instagram, people on TikTok, Threads, Twitter, whatever it's called now, like all of these different platforms, because that's how you, number one, reach the masses. But that is a form of evangelizing, right? We're not necessarily on the corners with a boombox and a mic, like
Preachers.
right. That's cute in theory, but okay. And maybe there is a need still for that.
Yeah.
And there's still definitely a need for pastors inside of the four walls, but
Yeah.
it is you and I. It is your viewers. It is the everyday person that lives a real life, that goes through real stuff, that can talk about the goodness of God, that can share the gospel, that can share what God is doing and has done for them in their lives, right? What is the Bible says, we overcome by the word of our testimony. If we don't have a testimony, how are we overcoming?
Yeah.
How can I look at you, Brianna, as an inspiration if you've never shared your testimony? How can the next woman that's watching this, how can the people that she's called to overcome if she's not sharing her testimony?
Yeah.
We're connected.
Yeah. Yeah.
You win, we all win, right? I win, we win. Like that's the perception that we should be looking at it. But every single day is an opportunity to evangelize.
Yeah. And I love that you said, you know, you brought that scripture up because it was so intimidating for me to share the test that I'm walking through in real time. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And we've
Mm-hmm.
talked about this, how
Mm-hmm.
people would share it when they have the testimony, when they know
Mm-hmm.
how it's going to show up and work out. And when I made the decision
Right.
to share the test
Mm-hmm.
of walking through it, y'all saw me
Mm-hmm.
cramping and farting, face swollen, just looking
Mm-hmm.
like everything I've been
Been
through.
through, exactly. And I'm a
Woo!
proponent of that. Share the journey. People don't want to see the overcome. Like, we want to know you got your comeback story. That's great. That's fine. But take me through the process. Because right now, what I'm going through feels like hell.
Yeah,
And
and
so I
it's
need
like
to know I'm not by myself. Take
yeah.
me on this journey.
Yeah, and I was like, God, I mean, should I? Like, you know, I
Right.
struggle because even perceptions matter to me, and how
Mm-hmm.
people perceive me does matter. I'm not one of them girls like, I don't care. No, I do care because I know that how I can experience myself in a certain way and think I am doing something, and you can experience me in a different way, and it's way more people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I always try to be conscious of that. But when I made that decision, I was like, they finna see this ugly side of everything. And oh my dang on God, like, no, not me, not me. But I also knew that people were starting to notice something was wrong
Mm-hmm.
last year,
Mm-hmm.
right? Y'all see me breaking down on the podcast, tearing up in
Yeah,
middle
because
of
you couldn't fake that.
I couldn't fake it. And people were probably looking like, who's
Mm-hmm.
this girl? Is she all right? I was kind of like, are you all right?
Right.
Like you are literally exposing yourself without saying something. You're
Mm-hmm.
showing it, but you're not saying something. And people who watch you know your temperament. And they know when something is off. I'm showing up with puffy eyes,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I don't know if I want to share this. I don't know because it's easy for me to encourage you on, but not let you see the backside of that
Mm-hmm.
decision,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I said, well, I guess you trusted me with this. And I'm going to have to put myself out here and
Mm-hmm.
not worry about what other people may say, but let them see what walking by faith
Mm-hmm.
and not by sight really looks like. Let them see the journey. And it was the most intimidating thing I
Mm-hmm.
had, aside from the kingdom message. It was the second hardest thing that I've ever had to do publicly.
Right, because vulnerability is scary, but it's necessary. It's needed. Yeah.
Baby, when I tell y'all, I, but so many people were encouraged by it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
100%.
And so many people are watching to try to see how does this thing end, if nothing
Mm-hmm.
else.
Mm-hmm.
If nothing else, we want the story.
Right. How does it unfold? How do you get from God telling you you need to quit your career when you are like right at the door of tenure?
Right at the door. I shared
How?
on my, let me see if I still got the screenshot on my computer. I shared a screenshot on my Insta story. I got my final tenure and promotion evaluation back. I'm gonna tear up
Mm.
when I'm saying it. So if y'all don't know, as an academic, we have to do our yearly evaluations. And that's basically what you did for the year, and the tenured people, a part of the personnel process, they evaluate your progress in 3 areas: teaching, service, and research. That is how our contracts are broken down. So I had to submit my annual evaluation, and I got my eval back. Right. Let me read y'all the part, and this is real life. It says Dr. Whiteside has been making excellent progress towards tenure and promotion since arriving in fall 2018. As the department and other offices are aware, Dr. Whiteside has elected to resign her position and will not be standing for the tenure and promotion process that I feel confident she would have easily attained. The tenured faculty who have reviewed her FAR, which is the annual report, as part of our standard personnel process, did so with deep and mixed feelings, as her resignation is a tremendous loss for our department. She is a universally admired and valued colleague to every person who's worked with her. The faculty is unanimous in wishing her the very best in her work outside of academia, as does her chair. I have no doubt that Dr. Whiteside will continue to do great things. And underneath it says, evaluation of progress towards tenure rating, it says excellent.
You got me tearing up.
Because,
Right.
because,
Right.
in real life, sometimes when I say I'm leaving my career, people who don't know me may think like, oh, she wasn't doing what she was supposed to do to
Right.
get tenure. No, 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 no.
Right.
It would have been mine.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been mine. Job security forever had I wanted it, but to read that evaluation and also to know that I had to leave, even though I did everything I was supposed to do, I still had to obey and leave something that I worked my entire life for. It's hard.
100%.
It's hard. And as I, move through these stages of grief, because there's not all like one thing over with. No, this is an ongoing thing until June 30th. And even maybe after June 30th, there is still going to be this negotiation of identity and figuring things out, because that has been my normal. But as I stand in Q2, knowing that my life drastically changes in Q2, I still question, why did you take me this way? As you said, you're not going to always know. So as I am in real time doing what I'm supposed to do, but also grieving, also knowing that, yes, this is an opportunity or setup or the greatest story of my life, probably, I still don't know.
Right.
And it's a hard thing.
And it's back to, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
It's back to the question, God, why do you trust me with this?
Because
and to know that he thinks this highly of you, because the next person would not have done that. The next person would have been like, oh, he means after I get tenure, or oh, he means this. They would not have moved the way that you have moved.
At all.
I can't even say if I was in your shoes, I would have moved the way you moved.
I know people who've been in the faith who have really big names have said to me, I wouldn't have done it.
Right.
I also know people who encourage people to not do something or leave your job unless you have another.
Right. 100%.
But that's not Bible.
Right.
Like, that is not the faith. And so when I got that evaluation, which is a very lengthy evaluation, I shut down that day. Like, my heart and mind shut off because that unlocked another level of grief. That unlocked another understanding, like, no, this is over for you.
Yeah.
Like, you can't go back.
Yeah.
Yes, you left with your good name. Yes, you left with your good reputation. It's going to, of course, it's going to work out for you. But that human aspect of, God, why are you trusting me, a woman, a single woman, to carry these weights? I don't like it.
Right. Because even I said, like, when we were talking, I was like, hey, so if you put in this resignation, like, can you still go back and be like, nah, I'm kidding, JK.
JK. No, it's done. You're done. And that's crazy. And that is the part, right? This is when I tell people, like, no, this ain't no job. This is a career.
Yeah.
This is something that you could do the rest of your life. And you ain't no take backs. Once, because in my portal, it says terminate Brianna Whiteside June 30th. As if I didn't put my resignation in, which I keep, like, y'all, look, I resigned. Here's the proof. I also shared my resignation letter on my Instagram, but no, you can't take it back. You can't backwalk. I had 72 hours to backwalk that. That next day, on the fourth day, it was over.
Right. It's almost like back to what you had said a couple of weeks ago. Like, there's only plan A with you. There is no plan B. And God is literally showing you, like, you're on plan A.
Run the play.
Like,
I think
this is it.
We all have plan A. But we try to fall back on, and because of various reasons, right? Oh, I got to have a backup plan.
100%.
And I know
plan B, C, D, E, and F. Okay.
Period. But if you have all these plans, then you can't walk by faith. That's literally going to stop where you want to go. I was talking to my brother. My brother, he wants to move. And, he wants to leave. And I'm like, okay, bro, whatever, we're talking. And he's like, well, he wants to go into a specific career field. And he has to do a lot of rigorous training and stuff for it. And, I'm like, all right, cool. You want to be in a specific location, geographical location. You want to leave where you are. So leave. Whether you get into this place or not, you need to go. Well, what happens if this? Well, I don't know. But you have said to me time and time again that this is where you want to be. So you need to go ahead and go plan A and figure it out as you go. But it is the planning, and for a planner like myself, it is the planning that will stop you. And when God says, go do this thing, you like, oh, I got to think about it. I got to plan it. Well, you've been
Mm-hmm.
planning it for 3 years.
Right. Right.
The replacement is already ready. And they probably already got your job.
Right.
Like, to be honest,
Right.
there is another you.
Yeah. Yeah.
There is another you. And they were arguably going through the same tests and trials, very similar to you, to prepare them for their moment on the stage. But we think we're so, and we are valuable, but we think God won't give our place away.
Right. Right. They said yes when you decided to be hesitant, or in your hesitancy, you may have lost your position. And then with that, how long is that wait till it comes back around, if it comes back
If
around
it
again?
comes back around, because a lot of stuff isn't coming back around right now.
Especially not now, because man, time is up.
And God is trusting women with very specific things,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
very specific, hard things, might I add, but they may seem insignificant.
Mm-hmm.
It is the insignificant things that are the hardest, arguably.
Mm-hmm.
The Bible says it's the small foxes that ruin the vine.
Mm-hmm.
Those
Mm-hmm.
small things that you may think are insignificant, nothing turn into big things,
Mm-hmm.
big blow ups, right? And so when I'm thinking about God trusting women, he trusts women with a lot, with birth, with nurturing, with
Mm-hmm.
steering certain
Mm-hmm.
things. But we have kind of given up our position. I want to say something controversial, but I'm going to save it. I'm not going to say it. But no wonder why a lot of people want to be women these days.
Uh-huh.
Awesome.
Uh-huh.
Because
Uh-huh.
we're that awesome.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
You know what I find interesting is that I'm reminded as you're talking of that Bible verse that says that he that findeth the wife findeth the good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. And I think a lot of times we as women, we don't see the value in that, but also on the flip side of that, men tend to not see the value in what it will do for them when they have their wife. We are the destiny helpers, but we can also be the destiny unlockers as well. You
Yes,
can't fully reach your fullest potential as a man of God until the woman of God comes alongside of you
I believe
and
that.
does what she needs to do
I believe that. I
in
believe that.
your life.
I
Mm-hmm.
believe that. And I love that you said that, because sometimes people say like the man is the head, but the woman is the neck. I think she's the crown. That's what the Bible kind of do.
Mm-hmm.
So she is the thing that sits on top. She is the
Mm-hmm.
sway, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
I think that we don't, and this could be an identity thing. This is how you're going to have to go back to your position as a daughter
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
learn God's idea for women.
Right.
Our influence, our impact is more than twerking. Okay.
100%.
Um, Girl, don't even get me started. I can't even take no more. But it's more than these challenges that we lower ourselves to do.
Uh-huh.
We're so important. And this is just not us trying to feel good message. No, like literally, women were so important that God saw that there was a need for women, that he created them.
Mm-hmm.
And there has always been a need for women. As long as there's going to be a need for men, there's a need for women. Companions, different strengths,
Mm-hmm.
right? Sun
Mm-hmm.
and moon.
Right.
They both have important processes and important things to do. And I just think that sometimes we just don't see the value in ourselves. And it could be socialized, being socialized that we're insignificant, historical things, patriarchy, whatever we want to blame it on. But the truth is that if we stay in that place, it's really on us,
Right. Right.
right? If we don't decide, and this ain't feminism, because I'm not a feminist at all, and I can say this strongly because I've studied feminism and I almost fell into the trap of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm
Which
not
is easy to do
a girl.
if you're
I
not
was
careful.
black feminine baby,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
especially when I cut my hair up, baby. That
Mm-hmm.
I had. Oh my God, thank you, Lord. So I'm not. I study the literature. I can cite with whatever, and I also know the blind spots, but if we just continue to decide not to rise, and not in this feminist way of I'm a woman, but also
Mm-hmm.
but standing in the power and the authority of women, we're gonna always have less than what God designed for us to have.
Right.
And I remember but when I was in my feminist era, I used to hear people say like, "Oh, God loves you, God loves his daughters," and I'm like, "Girl, that's cute. That's that's lame. You know what I'm saying? Until I came
Mhm.
into the love of God, and I'm kind of like, oh,
Right, right.
maybe I was on to something. Maybe it ain't feel good. But of course, how you relate to your father sometimes
100%.
relates to God.
100%. Yep.
And
I think you said it though. There is power and authority in being a woman. And I think that again, the especially for those that have grown up in church, but the world itself has done a disservice to that, to
mm,
women. There is power and authority in being a woman. There's power and authority in being a man. But as a woman, what does that mean for you? What does that look like for your life? And like I love what you said, you understanding what it is to be a daughter. It's so cute to say like, oh, I'm my mother's child, or I'm my mother and father's child. I'm a sister, I'm a wife, I'm a coworker, I'm a friend, I'm a this, I'm a that. That's cute for all of these titles, but what does that mean? What does each of these offices you hold mean?
mhm,
And are you operating fully in said offices, the way in the power and authority that God has given you to operate in those offices?
mhm. That's important because I remember I was just reviewing some notes for something. I remember I had a dream and I was coming out of the dream. God was like, your inheritance is predicated on your position as a daughter.
Mm,
That means that as long as you come to me as a beggar, as someone who is not my child,
mhm.
you're not going to live the life that I have for you. You have to position yourself and posture yourself as a daughter who I care about, not as a worker. I'm good at working. I ain't gonna hold you.
100%.
That
I got
daughter,
servant life on lock, okay?
that daughter, that
Right,
I got a lot
right.
to do. Still work to do, right? Even
Mhm,
as I am serving, even as I am doing things, I got a lot of work to do. And so I just really want women to know that God trusts you with so much.
mhm.
And it's not insignificant. It may not look like what men do. I don't even want to be trusted with what they trusted with. Like, no,
No.
get somebody
Mm-mm.
else to do it.
Mhm,
Okay. And you did get somebody else to do it. If you needed me to be a man, I would have been a man.
mhm.
But I think that it's time for us to rest in our identity as daughters. It's time for us to rest in our position as women. I was gonna say soft life era, but that's not what type of time I'm trying to be on. But
So let me ask you this though, before you move further. What does it mean to you to be a daughter? And what
oh,
does that look like in your life?
that's good. That's good. It means everything that I did not necessarily experience from my father. So this is why it's so funny that I am moving in the way that I'm moving, trusting God, because I can't say that I had the most trust in my father, right?
Mhm,
And so it
mhm,
means to be protected, it means to be cared for, it means to be validated. I think those are the top three.
mhm.
We can go down a list, but it's everything that I did not get. And so it's so funny. I'm grateful that you asked me that because on the surface, I don't think I trust God as Father, but my actions are showing something
Mhm,
different.
mhm, mhm,
So maybe envisioning the way it should look, I have discounted the way it is looking.
mhm.
And so that is what it means for me to be a daughter, to be cared for, to be protected, to be validated. And like even in this season that I'm in this, like, I don't know season, there is this knowing that this is about to be the greatest thing. If you could just get to this point, you know how your parents may have said, we're gonna go to get some ice cream tomorrow.
Mhm.
And you can't wait till tomorrow.
Right. You
Like you
counting
gotta get
down the time.
to tomorrow yet.
Right.
That's how it feels to me. It's this childlike excitement, but I can't discredit the adult fear.
Mhm,
The adult
mhm,
in me is shook.
mhm.
The daughter in me is not worried about it. I rub my feet together at night. Which is my favorite thing to do nowadays.
It is. You
If
talk about it often.
y'all don't rub y'all feet together, y'all need to try it. It is comforting. Rub your feet together at night. You're gonna find yourself doing it. Watch. But no, that's what it means. What about you?
You know, when I was listening to you respond to that, I could totally identify with that because I didn't have my father in my life either. And I have very much so been the person that says your earthly father is what prepares you with your relationship for your heavenly father.
Yeah.
And it's harder for those of us that have not had our natural father around or was not there in more than just a financial
Yeah.
respect.
Yeah.
And so the love,
Mm.
just feeling the love,
Mm.
knowing that I'm worthy,
Mm.
I'm worth it.
Yeah.
Um, knowing, I know I was reading Mark uh, towards the end of the chapter when God is, I know it's in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, but this particular part was Mark. And when God, when Jesus cried out, like, my God, why have you forsaken
Mm.
me?
Mhm.
I just felt such a pull because I can feel that even for my natural father, my earthly father, like, why was I not good
Right.
enough? And so having, like you said, that validation, to know that there is a God who sent his son. And I think you said this, I don't know if it was earlier or a couple of weeks ago, but you had said like, I don't remember what you had said exactly, but it was like you sent this person to accept things that he never even did. It was something close to that. And you're like, I didn't even do that. Like, that's the same thing Jesus said. I didn't do all of this stuff, but I'm paying the price so that you don't have to. And to know that somebody loves me that much to do that, well, I'm tearing up now,
It's real.
is the
Yeah.
most comforting thing, the most loving thing, to know that you love me that much, that I'm worth that.
As you were speaking, it reminded me of that last part. Reminded me of, why I always say like I try to do things the way that I do it for my unborn children.
Mhm,
Children
mhm.
I've never even met. They're not
Yeah.
even here. That I'm praying for and asking God and doing all getting the taste left out my mouth. It is a love that I haven't experienced, but I am demonstrating.
Mhm,
Same as Christ,
mhm.
right? You're going to have to pay the price. And a lot of times when I feel like giving up, I'm like, I can't do this for me.
Right.
Help me do it for them. Because I
Mhm.
never want my kid to look at me and me see them struggling with something that mommy just didn't do.
Right.
Not because she didn't have the capability of doing it. She ain't want
To
to pay the
just
price.
do it. Yeah.
She want
Yeah.
to do it. I don't want to do it sometimes. Sometimes I don't want to do these podcasts. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm,
But I never want a little me looking back at me struggling with something I knew I could have took care of.
mhm.
Can't go back at that point.
Right.
Same with Christ. Same with
Mhm,
God, why he sent Christ.
mhm.
There is something that you can't do. So I'm going to come and do it for you. And I'm going to take on the agony and the pain and the frustration and all the things related to this thing that I didn't even do. I'm going to pay it for you because I think you're worth it and I think you deserve a fighting chance. So Christ died to give us a chance. And the chance is on us though at that point.
Right. Right.
So you can do as a parent and you can do everything you want, you can to set your kids up. It's their decision if they want to be
Mhm,
set for that. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying?
mhm.
And yeah, we getting deep now.
Yeah, man. This took a quick turn.
It went quick. It went quick.
Wow.
But it's true.
Wow.
It's true. And I think it's important for women to think publicly and out loud because we
Yeah.
have a lot of people saying a lot of things that should not be speaking.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna leave it there.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts? We've been around the world.
Man, that was deep. That last part was deep. It was such a great question.
Ask it. You started the question.
Oh my gosh. At the end of the day, I think it's important to know as a woman that God trusts you for a reason, and you deserve for him to trust you in the capacity that he trusts you. But again, as Brianna just said, it is your decision. Are you going to essentially spit in his face and not do what he said
Yeah.
do?
Yeah.
And be like the people that chastised him and got him up on that cross?
Yeah.
Or you just gonna suck it up and be like, I gotta trust God. I have to trust that God knows best.
Yeah.
He knows better for me than I know.
Yeah.
Because he knows all, sees all, then I have to just trust in that. And if we are going to believe the word, if we are going to believe in him, then we just have to walk in that. As
Yeah.
hard as it is, cry,
Yeah.
spit, and fart. I always say I be sitting in the corner rocking
Yeah.
because what is happening in my life?
Yeah.
But I'm gonna pick myself back up. I'm not gonna let the enemy win, and I'm gonna do what God has called me to do.
Yeah.
So my encouraging words are: know that you are capable, you are powerful, and you have the authority to do what God has called you to do.
Mhm.
Walk
And
in it, sis.
and I would say that no one can reach the people you're called to reach but you.
Hmm.
And if God is calling you to do something, of course, we always say like it's not about you, it's about someone else, but it literally it is. But they can only hear what they can hear from a you,
Hmm.
right? And they would never be able to hear from me because I have specific experiences. I have a specific or certain type of mobility that some people don't have. You know what I'm saying? So they would never be able to receive from me in the
Right.
way that they would be able to receive from you. And I think that this is for women. I want you to think about this. And this is something that I try to keep at the forefront of my mind. What if you get to heaven and God's like, I ordained you to reach all of these people. And these are the people who never heard the message that I needed them to hear. And what if their blood is on your hands? I never want that weight. And so it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter if people are not listening or not. Someone is listening, and one day they will listen.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll never say, Brianna never
Mm-hmm.
came. Brianna never came. You'll never be able to say that. And just knowing the severity
Right.
of not doing what you're supposed to do. Because I know in 2021, I got the taste slapped out of my mouth all year, back to back, every month. Even my
Mm-hmm.
friend was like, dang. But it was because I needed a different heart posture. My heart is way softer now, post 2021, than it was
Mm-hmm.
pre 2021. And I needed that crushing, though it was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
I needed it for what I'm doing right now. I needed it
Mm-hmm.
to be able to be trusted with the future. So I didn't want to feel the pain of that year and years of, turmoil, but it was necessary. And so my encouragement is to pay the price. The price has to be paid. You pay a price to be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody pays a price to be themselves. So you don't get away from the price. You get to decide if you're going to pay with interest or you're just going to pay the outright price.
Right.
And that's what I want women to understand. I think we've been paying a lot of larger prices because we haven't been paying our individual prices.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why we need to go ahead and turn things around. Yo, I hope this has encouraged you. Thank you for rocking with us. If you have liked the video, please like the video, share this with a friend. We're talking about women all month. And I just want to thank y'all for trusting us with your attention. I'll see you soon in another installment of the Book of Brianna. Bye.